In the vast landscape of the Soviet Union, few criminal cases would leave a deeper shadow than this story. Chikatilo was born in 1936 in Ukraine. He entered the world during a time of famine, war, and intense political change. Chikatilo's childhood was marked by poverty, fear, and stories of disappearances that circulated quietly among villagers. As he grew older, he struggled socially and academically, often retreating into isolation and developing deep emotional insecurities. Despite these challenges, he earned a university degree and eventually became a teacher, a profession that placed him close to vulnerable individuals. However, behavioral issues in the classroom and repeated complaints ended his teaching career, pushing him toward factory work. During the late 1970s and early 1980s, a series of disappearances in the Rostov region began to draw the attention of local authorities. The cases involved victims of different ages and backgrounds, making it difficult for investigators to identify a consistent pattern. At the time, Soviet officials were hesitant to acknowledge serial offenses, which slowed early investigative progress. Multiple suspects were detained, interrogated, and even convicted, but the disappearances continued. As the scale of the crimes grew, a special task force was created, led by experienced investigators determined to find the perpetrator. Their work involved long hours, regional travel, and the careful study of crime scenes, witness statements, and behavioral patterns. One investigator, Viktor Burakov, played a pivotal role in bringing modern profiling tactics into the Soviet criminal system. Over time, Burakov and his team noticed that many victims disappeared near train stations, bus stops, and wooded areas. This suggested the offender was mobile, familiar with public transport, and comfortable approaching strangers. In 1984, Chikatilo was briefly detained on suspicion, but insufficient evidence led to his release. The disappearances paused for a short time, but soon resumed, reinforcing the belief that the offender had not been stopped. By 1990, investigators began using surveillance tactics around transportation hubs, hoping to catch the suspect in the act. On one of these patrols, officers noticed Chikatilo behaving suspiciously near a train station, observing commuters closely. He was questioned again, and this time, officers found physical evidence linking him to multiple crime scenes. Chikatilo was arrested in November 1990, marking the end of one of the most extensive manhunts in Soviet history. During interrogations, he initially denied involvement, but after extended questioning, he began to confess. His statements revealed detailed knowledge of the victims and locations, confirming the investigators' suspicions. The case shocked the nation, with authorities uncovering a long series of crimes committed over more than a decade. As the investigation unfolded, forensic specialists and psychologists examined his behavior and motives. Experts described him as highly organized during the offenses, yet socially withdrawn and anxious in everyday life. The trial began in 1992 and drew intense media attention due to the scale and severity of the charges. Chikatilo often acted erratically in the courtroom, but the evidence presented against him was overwhelming. Witnesses, investigators, and forensic specialists all provided testimony that supported the prosecution's case. After months of proceedings, he was found guilty of dozens of murders committed between 1978 and 1990. He was sentenced to death, and the verdict reflected the gravity of his actions and the suffering caused. Following the trial, the case became a crucial study in criminal psychology and investigative procedures within the Soviet system. It also prompted discussions about law enforcement methods, mental health, and public safety. Many investigators later stated that the case highlighted the importance of modern profiling techniques. It also demonstrated the need for open communication between regions and agencies during major investigations. Even decades later, the Chikatilo case remains one of the most studied criminal investigations in Eastern Europe. Documentaries, research papers, and criminology courses continue to analyze how the case was solved under difficult conditions. The story stands as a reminder of how persistence, careful analysis, and evolving investigative methods can eventually bring justice. It also reflects the challenges faced by authorities operating under the political and social climate of the time. For many, the case symbolizes both the tragedy of the victims and the determination of those who worked tirelessly to solve it. Today, the Chikatilo investigation is remembered not only for its severity, but also for the breakthroughs it inspired. The techniques developed during the manhunt continue to influence criminal investigations around the world. As the decades pass, the story remains a sobering chapter in the history of Soviet law enforcement. It serves as a case study in how one investigation reshaped modern understanding of serial crime. And while time moves forward, the lessons learned from this case continue to inform investigators and scholars worldwide. The legacy of the Chikatilo case endures, reminding us of the importance of vigilance, awareness, and the pursuit of truth.